Greetings, Taku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Vikings episode review right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. And finally, I'm back to bring you all the latest in this week's Vikings episode review. And this is my review of Season 4, Episode 6, entitled What Might Have Been. Now, general thoughts on this week's episode. I don't have too much to share for this week's episode, mainly because I thought it was another slow build-up episode. Slow in the sense that we didn't get much progression on what was set up in the previous episode, and those things started to pick up towards the end of the episode. This was really one of those episodes like you could watch it with another episode and get more of the feel that it's, you know, one solid episode. Everything was just kind of slow progression, slow build up. Not a bad episode, but not a lot of ground was covered this week. Now, few things I will mention, few things I do want to talk about. The most interesting part of this episode, I thought, was what happened over in Wessex with King Ecbert deciding to go ahead and send his grandson and Aethelwulf on a pilgrimage to Rome. The reason why I thought that was one of the most interesting parts of the episode was because if you've been following along with the series, and of course following along with what Ecbert's been planning, what with the full invasion of Mercia, we know that this is simply a ruse. This is simply a way for him to get Aethelwulf out of the way so he can go ahead and invade the country and take over. Why? Because we know Aethelwulf has developed a relationship with Gwynthwyf. We know that he would be the one to oppose Ecbert just manhandling and taking over the country. So go ahead and remove that opposition. Go ahead and remove that temptation. Get him out of the way. So that's, we were already setting up for that last week. And once again, slow progress. We're slowly seeing Ecbert's plan sort of unfold and slowly seeing it develop. The other interesting thing that happened in this episode, and I'm going to have to read up on this. So, Harbord, I believe is how you pronounce his name, returned to Kattegat this week. And this is real funny because he only seems to come around once Ragnar and the rest of the Vikings leave, when they go on raids. And we already know that he's some type of Norse mythological figure. And it's really weird how every time he's in an episode in his little story, how it's written, how it unfolds, it's always weird. Because here's the thing. Now, despite the fact that this is a series on the History Channel, and not everything that occurs in the series is factual. Some of it is embellished for the sake of storytelling, right? But for the most part, the events that take place in the series are real, like actual sort of events. Harbord, on the other hand, he brings this supernatural element to the series, and it's hard to argue. You know, it's not the same thing like Aethelstan when he would experience, you know, his visions and whatnot, because that you can go ahead and chalk up to, oh, it's what's going on inside his head. Oh, it's a hallucination, this, that, and the other. Maybe it's a religious, spiritual experience, what have you. But anyway, but Harbord, on the other hand, remember when he was first introduced last season, it couldn't have just been one person seeing him and it's an illusion that one person is suffering from, because Siggy and Helga both saw him and spoke to him last season. So did the children. But he seems to appear and vanish out of nowhere. And of course, Ragnar, he's like, you know, to him, this is another fairy tale. This is a fable. But because he wasn't around, he didn't experience these things. So anyway, my whole point of bringing that up is it's interesting because it's the one part of the story that always has me guessing as to what's actually happening, what is really going on versus what we're being told. And whenever that happens, whether it's through the writer of the episode or whether it's through the character that you're questioning in the episode, you always have to question the source. Is this a reliable source for what we're giving? I'm curious. I'm going to have to go research this, look it up, read it to see if is Harbord this sort of mythological wanderer. It doesn't have something to do with an old Viking folk tale that he, you know, comes in and he woos women and, you know, causes mysterious deaths within villages that he visits. I don't know. I'm gonna have to read up on that some more. But he returned this week. No clue what's going to happen this time. We're just gonna have to see. We're just gonna have to see. But part of me can't help but think that the main reason why he keeps reoccurring is because we need to keep going to Kattegat during these raids. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't really think we need to do that, especially with how quickly the raids progress throughout the series and whatnot. I don't think we really need to be spending a lot of time outside of that. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so, and final comments, final thoughts on this episode would just pretty much being talking about the raid, the start of the raid, the return of Francia. I mean, granted, it's early. We haven't really had much given to us this week other than, you know, the Vikings returning to Francia, ambushing a scout group, and them finding out that Rollo has turned. That's pretty much where we left off this episode. Like I said, we didn't cover a lot of ground there. Really, I'm waiting for next week to really see what happens once we start getting some, you know, exchanges between Rollo and Ragnar and Bjorn and Lagertha and the rest of the group. I mean, all we really much got was, once again, reaffirming that Harold, he is a threat. He apparently is a ruthless Viking. Okay, we already knew that. Floki is sort of in leagues with him now. We already knew that. Bjorn is suspecting Elendor for the Berserker. We already knew that. Everyone's surprised that Rollo's turned against them. We already knew that. So once again, we didn't really get a lot of progression this episode. So all of these things I am hoping to discuss in the next review. So that's going to wrap up my Vikings episode review. I want to thank you all for joining me again this weekend. In the comments below, leave your thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you guys think about some of the things that have already been set up for us this season, where these might lead, so on and so forth. If you like the video, please feel free, thumb it up. If you want to share it, please feel free, share. And as always, if you like my review and want to keep following my reviews, please feel free, subscribe to the OAW YouTube channel. Annotation will be overhead. So, sorry for the delay. I'm kind of late on my videos for the last couple of days, so I'm going to be doubling up uploads for the weekend. So later tonight, you guys will get my Batman v Superman rant, and then tomorrow you'll get 2 Daredevil episode reviews. And with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, signing off, and until next time, peace.